Drink, dog, drink. Hey, y'all. Before we get into today's video, I just want to say this year has been a lot. For me, for my girlfriends, for so many of us. From relocations to taking time off work, whether it was by choice or because of circumstances, to the trauma of these supervisors who just don't get it. They don't support us. They don't value our contribution or our culture. 2025 has been heavy, and I'm not saying this from just personal experience. This has been the experience of myself and my closest girlfriends. So this is not just another let's put a party together. It's actually how this whole end of summer story turned into something so much more special. What was supposed to be a little backyard hangout with no theme or whatever with my girlfriends became a night that grounded us. My best friend was like, we've been going through it. We need to get grounded. And I said, perfect. Let's do a picnic setup. Let's sit on the ground and be one with the earth. I called up my girl Tiffany, got some crates from her cousin who has some crates, or somebody has some crates. Anyway, we went and got the crates. Picked up a few plants from Trader Joe's and Costco. And before I knew it, I was driving down the highway with a flatbed full of crates and a vision in my head that had to come through. Not to mention my guy baby and one of my closest friends, Adrian, was in town. So the rest was history because we love a theme and we love to do the most. We laid out blankets. The kids ran wild, truthfully, babysitting themselves because everyone brought something. It was picnic style, potluck style, whatever you want to call it. But we were really all very intentional about leaving the attitudes at home. And what we really brought was the energy, okay? Nobody came drained. Well, maybe energy less, but still came as a vibe. Nobody had an attitude. Everybody showed up wanting to pour into or to be poured into. And what I mean by that is none of us knew what to expect. I didn't even expect the night to turn in what it turned into. All I knew is that I wanted to create the space for us and for us to take up space unapologetically, authentically, and to just be in the feels, whatever that looked like: happiness, sadness, fear, anxiety. What other feelings are there? Anger. I wanted us to have a space to just be, because so often we have to put on a mask. We have to put on a facade. We have to bite our tongue constantly. And that can really drain us. I often tell people, in a world that is dominated by men, the Black woman, she's at the bottom. And I don't mean this for people to make and be felt and make you to feel sorry for us or throw a pity party. It is just factual. We are tagged as angry, as aggressive, as loud, as ghetto. And honestly, I don't know any of those people. Yes, we can be loud. We can be full of life. We can be aggressive when needed. But none of my friends embody those adjectives. We are so much more than the categories and the nuances that people have placed on us. So anyway, for the next 5 hours, that backyard felt sacred. We shared our work struggles, and baby, there were many. Relationship struggles, goals, and dreams. We did a cute little activity where we went around. Everybody had a little title. And it was a theme that you either sat by or sat down by chance. And when I tell you, some of these women didn't even know each other beforehand. But by the end of the night, the bonds, the trust, the laughter, it was like no other, because I told you people came ready and were willing to be open because they felt safe. So, you see me in here setting it up. So let me just talk about one of my favorite parts of the night, because it really was the table setup. Again, super last minute. These are my mom's linens from her back in the day entertaining days. We had the little quotes at each seat, and you could either sit by it or you pick the ones that spoke to you. I think the first couple people who came to the table were able to choose, but by the time the rest of the people got to the table, they really sat wherever they sat. But it was not by chance, and it was so purposeful the way the quotes spoke directly into what people were experiencing. Before we knew it, it was supposed to be an icebreaker. We spent 3 hours going around sharing why we chose that quote, what it meant, and what season of life we were in. It was the perfect icebreaker. If I don't say so myself, and thank you, Adrian, because she helped me come up with it. And it took us straight past the fluff to the real stuff. I'm talking about vulnerability, honesty, healing. Talk about group therapy. And it was free. And another thing, watching Black women from their late 20s to mid 40s sit together, uplift each other, and just be was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed. And one of the most beautiful things I've ever been a part of. Because we all know the world doesn't always treat us like we deserve. But we know how to remind one another that we do. The smartest, most accomplished women I know are often the ones that are most disrespected and most dismissed. And it baffles me. But in that backyard, it wasn't about proving anything. It wasn't about anything other than existing together. That night, it honestly reminded me that life is not meant to be done alone. And when you have your girlfriends, when you create those spaces, safe, honest, grounding spaces, you remember that you're not walking this journey by yourself. Because honestly, in the middle of Monday to Friday, it can feel very lonely. It can feel very isolated. And if you try to do this journey by yourself, baby, life will eat you up. I talked about it at the table. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in my 30s is to share. Because in my 20s, especially when it came to my relationships, and I'm talking about with a love interest, my little playboy friends at the time, I tried to handle all that drama myself. I kept it to myself. I didn't tell people what I was going through, how these trifling men was out here being trifling. I kept it to myself. I didn't say anything. But what I've learned in my 30s is that there's so much community in those you trust. Now, I'm not telling you to go tell your business to everybody now. But what I am saying is that if you have a group around you that you trust, that you confide in, you can be vulnerable. And I'm not telling you to tell all your details and go into why you got into a fight with your husband or your partner or your spouse on Tuesday. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that big things in life happen. And trying to unravel and deal with all that alone is not only consuming, but it's giving toxic. It's giving, why are you trying to go through all that by yourself? Why don't you talk that through? And if not with one of your friends, baby, get you a therapist. Therapist is more accessible than it's ever been. So while we are the most accomplished and smart women I talked about earlier, let's utilize the resources we have. Another thing I loved is that it wasn't about a title. There were single women at the table. There were wives. There were mothers. There were people in committed relationships who are not yet married, but on the precipice. There were women there who want children, who have not yet had children. And yet and still, it was a fluid and open conversation. There wasn't conversations just directed towards the moms. There wasn't conversations directed just towards the wives or towards the single people, or excluding the single people from the married conversation because they're not yet married, or vice versa. It was so inclusive. It was so beautiful. And I promise you, if you have the sacred space to do this with your group of women around you, please do it. Don't let the end of the year come and go, because life is too short. You could be here today and gone today. Take this time to love on one another. Remind each other, you're the one and not the what? You the one and not the two. You are the head and not the tail. Fearfully and wonderfully made in his image. And let be only what he say true about you. Okay? Don't get me to preaching now. Come on now. So again, the fact that some of these women never even met, the stories told were shared. It was like talking in a mirror. You know what I mean? But with a different inflected opinion, right? Because obviously everyone's experience is a little bit different. It was just beautiful to watch. I mean, I'm trying to explain it to y'all, but I don't feel like I'm really doing it justice. It just was a beautiful, Beautiful night. And what is a night without karaoke? How old are we that we end the night with impromptu karaoke from the phone at that? So if you take anything at all from this video, let it be this. Create the space. Community, community, community. The village, the village, the village. It's not just for kids. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect setup. Bring Sunday dinner, Big Mama Sunday dinner to you. Sometimes all you need is a blanket, a few crates, and some good energy. Main key. Because what you'll leave with is more feeling than what you came with. Connection, sisterhood. This night was one for the books, and I want the same for you. And if you've been carrying a heavy year too, I encourage you to gather your people, even if it's small. Friendsgiving is coming up. That's all I'm saying. If you need an excuse to do it, let it be that. You never know how much you need it until you're sitting there, until you're grounded, laughing, crying, and realizing, dang, this is what it's all about. All right. Back to the fashion content. But don't forget the woman behind all that mommyin. She needs nights like this too. Love you, mean it. See you next week.